Hello, Patrick Fahy here with another Rugby World Cup podcast. Now just days away from the 2019 World Cup kicking off in Japan, and we've got three games to look forward to on Saturday. First of those is the Wallabies opening clash with Fiji in Pool D, where they take on Fiji in Sapporo. To find out more about our opponents, I've been lucky enough to speak with John Lovokuro, who's a 23-year-old living in Nadi in Fiji. I'll give a special mention to my friend Jacqueline de Jong, who met John on a trip to Fiji and was able to put me in contact with him. So thanks very much for that, Jack. Now, John plays for the Momi Tigers in Fiji, and like so many Pacific Islanders, for him, rugby has been a lifelong passion. John's father, Sirilo Lovokuro, was also a rugby player, and he actually played for Fiji at the first Rugby World Cup in 1987, and in the early 90s became one of the first Fijians to play professional rugby in Japan, and Japan is actually where John was born. But he spent most of his life in Fiji, where for the locals rugby is more than a game, it's like a religion. Everything comes to a halt when they watch their national team play. It's really cool to talk to John about Fiji and their passion for the game, and not surprisingly they're eagerly awaiting the start of the World Cup and are particularly looking forward to that first game against the Wallabies. So, I'll pick things up here with John talking about life in Fiji and their love of rugby. Enjoy.
Since we're little kids, that is what we've been following every single day, and also it's like a religion in Fiji. Everyone believes in rugby, and so since Rugby World Cup is coming up, even there's any rugby tournament that is coming up, like everyone is just looking forward to it, and it's like a huge thing in Fiji.
Yes, so everyone's very excited that the World Cup is starting soon?
Yeah, everyone's totally excited of the World Cup since the preparation from last year, and also starting from since the World Cup begins, like in 1987 till 2019, everyone is always willing to watch this World Cup. Even though the Fiji team didn't do well in most of the World Cup, but that doesn't stop the heart of people of cheering and supporting their own team. Right?
Yeah, and can you tell me what it's like watching the World Cup in Fiji?
Yeah, everyone watches Rugby World Cup together, right? They love, most of us love to watch Rugby World Cup together. And even if, since there's a bit, a time difference between Fiji and Japan, some of the game even gonna be played in early in the morning, when people were still sleeping. But sometimes they do set up their alarms because they just want to watch that match. They don't want to miss it and watch the replay. Since it's a huge thing now, rugby, and also it is Rugby World Cup. Who would want to miss a single game? And also sitting down watching the Rugby World Cup together with a bowl of kava going around. And I'm pretty sure that you know about kava.
Yeah, I've heard about it. Yeah, so everyone will be enjoying the game and a bowl of kava at the same time.
At the same time.
Yeah.
At the same time. Yeah, most of it. And even in some workplaces, some workplaces resorts or office, they usually take a break as well when Fiji plays. Right, that is how we value rugby here in Fiji in our society. Because rugby is a major sport right now in Fiji.
Everything else stops for rugby.
Everything stops. Everything stops when it comes for rugby. And I was thinking when Fiji won its gold medal from Rio, straight after the final whistle blows, Like we could hear the buses, the taxis, like cars in town. They were just beeping horn, and everyone just running around wild in the streets and celebrating. And for that, we even have holidays in Fiji. Like when Fiji wins like a huge tournament, especially like let's talk about Sevens. When Fiji won its like Rugby World Cup in 2005, 1997, and also the Rio Olympic, it was a huge celebration. And we even have our own. And yeah, it is like what we value the most, and when it comes to sports.
Yeah, and with the 2019 World Cup due to start soon, everybody in Fiji must be getting very excited.
Everyone in Fiji is going crazy about that. Like even if you see buses and houses and like even small cars, you'll see the Fiji flag like just waving around wild, and even in towns and places like, and especially for this first game against Wallabies. So everyone's just can't wait to watch that. It's a match between Fiji and Wallabies.
Yeah, and you mentioned that Fiji has produced a lot of great rugby players, and some of them have gone on to play for Australia. If you look at the current Wallabies team, how do you feel about Fijian players playing for the Wallabies?
Well, it's like playing for like another team or for another country is it's not like it's not like a huge deal for us Fijians, like playing rugby and like playing for the other countries. It's what one of the things they may love the most, and then especially for those people that have played for Australia. Uh, we just in Fiji, we will wish them the best of luck, right? Since they are just our own people and like our own blood. And like I've said before, they will be Australian for 80 minutes. And as soon as the dust settles, they will always be Fijian, right? So, like, what's happened on the field happens on the field. And off the field, like, everyone becomes family again, my friend.
Yeah.
So for those 4 people that are playing for the Wallabies, Marika Korimbete, Isina Sarayani, Sam Kerevi, and Kurindrani. Right? They are one of the top world class rugby players right now. I highly rate them for their like skills and like some of the unpredictable play that they do. And like when you look back to some of the Fijian players that used to play for Australia, like with the like of Samu, Randike Samu, also Lote Tungiri. Yeah. Also, yeah, I think that won't stop the boys of like chasing their dream. Like,
Yeah.
playing for the other country doesn't matter, but as long as you do what you're passionate about, which is rugby. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you feel confident that Fiji can beat the Wallabies this time?
I feel confident that Fiji can beat the Wallabies. Like even though these Fijian play for the Wallabies or from like for some other countries, like for Savories, who's playing for the All Blacks, and the 2 Fijians that are playing for the French side, Virimi Vakatawa and Oliver Tiraka. Right. I will always wish them the best of luck, since we are all Fijians, but I will always go for the white jerseys. Right. Even because my dad was like a Fiji rugby player, so yeah, I will always go for the white jersey. Win or lose, I will always go for the white jersey.
Yeah, and can you tell me a little bit more about your dad, because he played for Fiji in the 1987 World Cup?
Yeah, my dad played for Fiji in the 1987 World Cup that happened in New Zealand. Before he went on to like a provincial level, he was actually selected by Father Brian Wilson, who is like from New Zealand, and he was like a priest in Fiji. So like he saw my dad playing in a very like amateur team. So he picked him up to play for the provincial level. And then after that, he was also then selected to play for the Fiji team. And so, like while playing for the Fiji team, he was still in college at that time, like studying education, like to become a teacher. And like his parents worked hard for him to like go to college, but then his passion was also like playing rugby. And then it was pretty hard for him to like to balance like his academic work and rugby, since it was like the both important thing in his life. But then he tried his best. And then while he was still in college, he was selected to play in the 1987 World Cup. And yeah, so after the 1987 World Cup, he came back. He finished his college degree, and then he then was one of the first Fijian to go play in Japan, like professional rugby, and also one of the first Fijian to sign a contract in Japan, playing for like 9 years in Japan, like for Hino.
And you were actually born in Japan yourself?
I was born in Japan myself, yeah.
What is rugby like in Japan? I guess it's not a major sport over there, so what do you think it will be like with them hosting the World Cup?
Well, like as for me, uh, I was born in 1995 in Japan. I knew that my dad was a rugby player, but we came back to Fiji in 1999. I think I was like 4 years old. 4 years old, but then I couldn't like remember anything about like him playing rugby in Japan since I was a little kid. But all I could hear from him was like when I was like a young boy, when he was telling us about things in Japan. Like one day I was asking my dad, like because he was actually going to play like rugby in Italy, but then he signed a contract to go play in Japan. And then I asked him like why did you wanna play in Japan? Because the day he signed his contract to play in Japan, he was also selected to play for the Fiji Sevens team to like a game, like a Hong Kong Sevens game in 1991. So I asked him like, why would you want to play for or play rugby in Japan where you can play for Fiji and like or any other countries that apart from Japan? And like one of the things that he said, he's like, he don't mind of the place that he's gonna go play rugby to, or like the income doesn't matter. It is what he is passionate about. Like it is just love of rugby that took him to play in Japan. So like even if rugby is not their major sport, still he said that it is just what he's passionate about, rugby.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I'm sure like people in Japan right now, like having the World Cup happen there for the first time, it's gonna be like a very huge thing for them. Like especially like for them, like for all the rugby followers in Japan, because right now Japan is like slowly developing in terms of rugby. Like who knows, one day they will win the Rugby World Cup, or who knows, one day they will win the Olympic gold medal at any point. They've been doing very well in rugby right now. They even reached the semi-final in Rio in 2016, and it also was a hard game.
And at the last World Cup, Japan beat South Africa and went very close to qualifying for the quarterfinals. Do you think that maybe now that they're getting to host the tournament, this could be the first time we see them qualify?
Yeah. If Japan like is going to qualify for the World Cup, that is going to be like like a huge milestone, like a milestone for them. Like as they've been like developing day by day. Like as the saying goes, like Rome was not built in a day, right? So they will slowly develop, right? To all other countries that have like starting to know rugby now, right? And also they will also one thing that I said that will like quickly boost the morale of the team or the preparation of the team is the support that they have from their countries and their families, right? And that is one thing that will quickly boost them more, like in the rugby field. And for them to qualify for this quarterfinal in like for in 2019 quarterfinal Rugby World Cup, it's not gonna be like like a thing. It's not gonna be like a new thing to us. But since we know that Japan has been doing very well in rugby's, like beating South Africa in like the last World Cup, and also like playing against some top teams, like with that close points. And I'm sure that when they beat Fiji in just like a couple of weeks ago, so like I said before, this is Rugby World Cup at its best.
So, what would you say is your favourite memory of watching Fiji at the Rugby World Cup over the years?
So my favorite memory of watching the World Cup, like I have so many memories, but one of the memories that I can tell you is when Graham Hughes, like in the 2007 Rugby World Cup, and it was like a very thrilling one as well. When Fiji scored its like last minute try to qualify for the quarterfinals against Wales, a try scored by Graham Hughes at that time. Like it completely changed the Welshman like point of view towards us Fijians. So yeah, so that was like in the 2007 World Cup, right? And so it was like just a strange thing about time is that it changes every single second. So that was 2007 World Cup. We've gone past 2015 World Cup, so now we're like in the 2019 World Cup. So the focus is on the 2019 World Cup.
Yeah, I guess looking back at 2007, do you feel like there's a good chance Fiji might be able to beat Wales again and qualify?
Yeah. Like I've said before, whenever Fiji played against like a team, to me, I will always go for Fiji. Like, and if anyone asks me, like, what's your thought about Fiji? Like, Fiji will win, and we always keep rugby clean, but we always go for the white jersey. It is like for Fiji versus Wales in this Rugby World Cup, I will always go for the Fiji team, but also I will wish the Welsh team the best of luck. And it's just a way of keeping this rugby clean. And it's
Yeah. And so, looking at the team that Fiji has for this World Cup, a lot of Australians will know Semi Radradra from his time with the Parramatta Eels. You looking forward to having him play?
The one is one of the players that I will highly rate is Semi Radradra. And I'm sure that everyone that plays in the Australian side knows him because he spent most of his like professional rugby career in Australia, like playing for the Parramatta Eels, and like looking at his skills and some of his unpredictable plays that he did while playing for the Parramatta Eels. And and I know he's one of the players. And the other one that I can say is some of the Olympians that are now playing for the Flying Fijians, with the likes of Semi Kunatani, like the beast. And for Semi Kunatani, like everyone knows, he's like the line breaks that he is known for, right? Breaking lines, and also the tackles that he always does in the rugby field. And one of the players that I highly rate is Semi Kunatani, and also Leone Nakarawa, who everyone knows that one of the offload king. in like the world class. For Leon Nakarawa, like I'm sure if they wanna take him down, it's just I'm just make sure that they just try to hold up a body, because if not, then he's just gonna do what he's capable of, like offloading balls, like passing balls like from chest level and going up anywhere that he wants to pass the ball to. And the other one is William Mata, one of the fastest that I can say right now. For like doing his final switch from rugby sevens to rugby 15s, and also getting some of the experience that he used from rugby sevens, combining together with his ability in rugby 15. I think for that it's gonna make this man like a very unique player in this Rugby World Cup. And also Joshua Tuisova, who is known for like the bus. You know, everyone knows Joshua Tuisova, who's one of the biggest rugby winger right now, and who's fast, and also, like I've said, one of the the ability that Semi Kunatani has, it's also with Joshua Tuisova, breaking lines and like taking the ball forward, and who's going to be like one of the great finishers in this Rugby World Cup. And for these five that I've mentioned, I highly rated them with their ability. And not forgetting Frank Lomani, who's one of the debut in Rugby World Cup, who's one of the, not the debut, who's also going to be the first, his first time playing for Fiji in the Rugby World Cup. And for this young kid, we've heard stories about him when he was an early young kid that always loves rugby more than he loves his work or like academic work. From what I've got from this man, Frank Lomani, he did well in his academic work while he was in school. He received calls from like workplaces for him to go and work there, and also like from there are some places that they need Frank Lomani to go to. But one of the things that may have kept this boy like in his good shape is rugby. It is what he's passionate about.
And you mentioned before about what it was like for Fiji when they won the gold medal in Rio. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah. So, like for winning the Olympic gold medal in Rio was like a milestone to us Fijians. Like as it was like a first Olympic. It was the first sport to be introduced in Olympic rugby sevens, and also was the first time for us to win gold in Olympics. Like for this one team that brought people back together, like that have brought unity as well into the community and into various places in Fiji. It was like a 1 week celebration for us in Fiji, and always like the stories and always the marks that they have done in Rio Olympic from like us Fijians. Like, it is always gonna be like a story that's gonna be there for a very very long time. Huge motivation to all the people back in Fiji and to all the young kids back in Fiji.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So rugby sounds like one thing that can always bring people together in Fiji.
It is always gonna bring people back in Fiji, even in this like local rugby competition. Like in local rugby competition, I can say that in Fiji, the competition that we have in Fiji is a professional game now. Even if like a small tournament or like huge tournament, I can always say if there's any place where rugby tournament is gonna be happening, there is always gonna be like a very like a professional one. like since it's like one of our major ones in Fiji and the top sports.
Mm. Yeah, great. Okay, John, is there anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just want to wish the Fiji team the best of luck, and also to all the people that will be competing in the Rugby World Cup, to all the teams that's going to be participating. May we keep rugby clean in every time.
Well, good luck to Fiji and to all the other sides playing, and really looking forward to Fiji versus the Wallabies. I might speak to you again after that.
Sure, thank you.
Thanks very much, John. Well, there you have it. A big thanks to John for his time and for sharing his passion for the game. It's been great to get the opposition's take on this first game, and for everyone in Fiji, I'm sure it's going to be huge. Wallabies vs Fiji kicks off at 2:45 p.m. Australian time. Can't wait for that one. Thanks everyone, and I hope you've enjoyed this podcast.